We have a shocking New York Knicks trade update as the Knicks are one of the favorites to land Ben Simmons, while also there's a huge update on Walker Kessler that could change everything about the Knicks' plans, and we're going to see what Leon Rose does as trade season has almost gotten underway. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and if you like the content, make sure to subscribe. We're on that push to 10K subscribers, trying to get there before the new year. 25% of viewers are subscribed right now, so let's try to get those numbers up. But guys, interesting stuff going on today. I mean, Walker Kessler, he's been on the Knicks' minds for a while, but now, I know you guys are not going to be thrilled when I talk about this. Ben Simmons. The New York Knicks are one of the favorites to land Ben Simmons if the Brooklyn Nets trade him or if Ben Simmons gets bought out of his contract. And we have to break this down. I mean, come on, man. It's an interesting story, if nothing else. And guys, as brought to us here, I'll make that bigger so y'all can see it a little bit better. Ben Simmons, well, if he gets traded or bought out, the New York Knicks have the second best odds to land him at 7-2 odds, or also known as 3.5 to 1 odds, plus 350. The Knicks are to land Ben Simmons. The only teams with better odds are the 2-1 Cleveland Cavaliers and the 3-2 Boston Celtics. Now, teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, New York Knicks, and Boston Celtics, along with the Phoenix Suns and most teams on this list, this will probably come through a buyout. Now, Ben Simmons is on a massive $40 million contract that expires this year. So outside of teams that could be trying to cut off a player $40 million who has more than a year left, and we will talk about that when it comes to buyouts in just a moment, well, these are the teams that Ben Simmons would likely sign with, and a lot of these make sense. I mean, looking at the Boston Celtics, they're the best team in basketball. Ben Simmons is someone who can play with the Celtics considering most of their lineup can shoot and they love to shoot threes. And since they're constantly playing a 5-out, it does give Ben Simmons the spacing he needs to create for others. The Cleveland Cavaliers would just be a downright atrocious fit. I do not know why they're on this list. And then the New York Knicks are third because, like the Boston Celtics, the Knicks run an incredibly 5-out shooting lineup. So Ben Simmons once again could fit there and there wouldn't be too much cluster when Ben is on the floor with Karl Anthony Towns and the rest of the Knicks starters. Outside of that, things could go poorly very quickly. Now, let me just say, I don't think the New York Knicks are going to go out there and get Ben Simmons. I don't expect that to be what happens here, but it is interesting to see the Knicks on the list because it's pretty unexpected. I mean, I'm pretty shocked to see the Knicks here. The Thunder makes sense. The Pacers with Miles Turner makes sense. The Phoenix Suns make sense because they could maybe make a Nurkic package if they have an extra $20 million to spare. Also, just the fact that Simmons can play center and would fit well with Booker and Kevin Durant. Miami Heat make no sense. The Heat are just always around for things. And the Golden State Warriors also make some sense because Ben can kind of play the 5 again there. So there's some teams that make more sense than others on this list. And the New York Knicks, one of the lesser teams that it makes sense for. Yes, they have Karl Anthony Towns, but outside of that, he's the only big man they have who's going to shoot. So unless they're going to move Ben Simmons to center, meanwhile, the Knicks have a bunch of centers on the roster who are already barely playing. Whether you got Jericho Sims, who's basically been benched by the Knicks and isn't seeing minutes, or Precious Achiuwa, who's back and playing mostly center when Karl Anthony Towns is out of the game, we're seeing guys who are more true big men than Ben Simmons. It feels like Ben Simmons would be an unlikely target for the New York Knicks, but it's interesting to see how Ben would fit on the team. Now, this season, Ben Simmons, he's averaging 5 points, 6 rebounds, 6.5 assists per game, and the steals and blocks are just down. He's not the same defender he once was. His defense is still good. He's got a defensive box plus minus of 2.6, which is nice, and a positive value over replacement player while shooting 61% from the field. Simmons is playing a little bit better than he has been the last few years, and it's very clear that something's happened to him. Whether it's a mental thing or his back is unclear. I'd say it's a mix of both. I do think Ben Simmons has back issues. It would explain a lot for what's happened to the man because he used to just be such an incredible player. Remember, there was a time when Ben Simmons was genuinely being looked at as one of the next NBA superstars, a defensive player of the year candidate, with potential to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, on-ball defender of all time. I mean, Colin Cowherd literally said Ben Simmons is the first player he saw who really makes it be like, all right, LeBron, as Cowherd said, you can go. Well, that was wrong. LeBron's still at the peak, and Ben Simmons isn't. Well, LeBron's not at his peak, but he's still an NBA superstar, and Ben Simmons is averaging 5 points per game. Ben Simmons was pinned as a guy like a LeBron, like a Magic Johnson, due to his passing abilities, due to the fact that he attacks the rim and was dunking all the time. But that's not the same Ben Simmons we see. He's far from the same athlete he was at LSU and his first few years in Philadelphia. He looks slower, and given the passing is still beautiful, the vision has not gone away. A lot of other aspects of his game have gone away, which is what makes you think he probably does have a back injury that's messing with his head, and has led to Ben Simmons not really playing very often, but on top of that, really changing his play style to where he's not just a pass-first player, but he's a pass-only player. He seems afraid to shoot the ball. His jump shot never got down. He never was shooting jump shots for some reason. He lost his confidence and never gained it back, and what we've seen is a completely different Ben Simmons than what we saw in the past, and I do not know why I keep putting up Walker Kessler instead of Ben Simmons, but it is a good time to now just talk about Walker Kessler anyway. Now, we'll talk about Walker in 1 second, but looking at Ben Simmons, if he's going to get bought out, this trade makes sense, man. I know this doesn't exactly have to do with the New York Knicks, but the Rockets want to get off of that Fred VanVleet contract, as VanVleet has just kind of been falling off a little bit, and trading him to the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are eating salary while picking up 2 second-round picks, while the Rockets can just get Ben Simmons, buy him out, and be done with it. And then Ben Simmons is free to sign with whatever team, leading to a situation like this. Now, on top of that, we do have some other news, as Walker Kessler is off the trade market. He's no longer a player who is going to be traded away. Walker Kessler, look, this came from Evan Sidery. Essentially, he revealed the fact that the Jazz now see him as a long-term piece of their team, and with that being the case, the Utah Jazz have ended any discussion to trading Walker Kessler, and this is very unsurprising. Look, the Jazz looking to trade Walker Kessler was them saying, all right, well, we're not going to be good for the long haul, so instead of extending him, what if we trade him away? But he's only in year 3. He's got another year before his contract extension is due, and he's shown that he's deserving of a contract extension from the Utah Jazz, and to trade for Walker Kessler, it would cost a whole lot. I imagine there's still a world where you could trade for him, but a guy who's putting up 11 points and 11 rebounds with 3 blocks per game and a half a steal while shooting 73% from the field is typically not someone who you trade at 23 years old. That doesn't make much sense. He fits well with whatever team he's going to be on because he's an elite rim protector, an elite rebounder, a great low post scorer with a bit of a mid-range game. It just becomes this situation of why the hell would you trade Walker Kessler? It makes no sense. The Knicks don't really have the assets to trade for him, as Kessler has really broken out onto the scenes, having his best season in the NBA so far. And it just now becomes a situation of there's no way Kessler gets traded for unless a team severely overpays for him. Danny Ainge will jack up the price as much as humanly possible. And we know that Leon Rose and the New York Knicks are just not going to be willing to play ball with that. So, seems like that's it for Walker Kessler. Leon Rose is going to find other options at center. And we do have a Mitchell Robinson update that's probably out by now. I imagine I'm dropping this video after Mitchell Robinson. We'll see how that goes. Both of these are coming out on December 12th, but that being said, today is December 11th. So, I'm going to go watch the Knicks game because I'm going to it, and I know they already beat the Atlanta Hawks because this is coming out the day after, and the Knicks aren't losing to the Hawks. Trae Young's 6-14 against the Knicks. That's not happening. That didn't happen. I hope, or I'm going to look stupid. Still going to post the video, though. Guys, let me know what you think down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Let's get to 10K or Ben Simmons will come to the Knicks. Have a great day, and go Knicks.